Hey, wait. You don't have to rush me, I'm not going anywhere. But if we don't hurry, Chloe might get suspicious.
In the middle of the night on our wedding day, I woke up in bed to see Ethan heading out somewhere. Curious, I followed him, only to stumble upon him and his lover right in the midst of their affair. I could never forgive him for cheating on me with her, behind my back. Swearing revenge, I decided to execute a bold plan on the day of our wedding with the help of a certain ally. Just watch. I'll show you, who underestimated me, a real hell. That's what I thought as I decided to play a remixed song at the wedding. My name is Chloe Brown. I'm a 35-year-old songwriter and composer. Chloe, I've got a new song, thinking of going with this vibe. What do you think? Should I pay more attention to this part of the tune? It's not bad, but if you want to bring out the best in your voice, this direction would definitely do it more justice. If you're aiming for that, I could change the melody a bit and try working on it now. Really? You're amazing, Chloe! My reliable partner. Then, let's go with this feel for the sound. She is Madison Williams. My best friend and precious work colleague. Madison, a singer, has been in the industry for 10 years. I have been handling her music, working in a capacity close to an exclusive arrangement. We're not affiliated with any particular agency. Madison and I built everything from scratch, making our way here side by side. Spending more time with her than any lover, she is irreplaceable to me. We know everything about each other's private lives, sharing everything from love advice to personal dilemmas. Speaking of which, it's coming up soon, right? Your wedding, Chloe. It's going to be beautiful. I can't wait to see you in your bridal glory. Well, yeah. Hopefully, everything goes smoothly. My vague response puzzled Madison. Despite the occasion of my wedding, my heart was anything but calm. The reason lies with my husband, Ethan Jones. Ethan and I met when we were high school students. Madison was the only difference, attending a different high school, but Ethan and I met during that time. I was part of the light music club, playing the keyboard at the cultural festival. Ethan had been moved by my performance. I also learned to play the piano when I was a kid, but I never really found it fun. However, seeing your play, I just got drawn in. It was the first time I'd seen someone enjoy music so much. That made me curious about what kind of person you are. Despite most people gravitating towards the guitar, bass, or vocals, Ethan spent the entire performance watching me. When he approached me, I remember feeling bewildered. Yet his reasons made me curious about him too. Ethan was not good at asserting himself, but was considerate of those around him. He seemed more interested in listening to others than talking about himself, immersing in books and studies rather than socializing. Ethan was always a great listener. It made me happy to see him talk so animatedly about his thoughts, and I found myself gradually being drawn to him. Before long, our relationship developed into a romantic one. After graduation, we started living together, with a promise to marry once we had saved enough money. However, years passed and Ethan never brought up the topic of our marriage. Impatient, I brought it up, only to hear him laugh nervously and string together some unbelievable excuses. Do we really need to get married to live together like this? I'm buried in work right now and don't want to cause any trouble at the office. Plus, all the paperwork seems like such a hassle. Is it really so bad if we just stay together in a common law marriage? I couldn't believe my ears. That's not what we agreed upon. You were the one who said we'd get married once we had saved enough. And now you're saying you're fine with just living together as if we're married? I realized how much of a hassle it is to organize it. But we're engaged, and everyone knows we plan to get married, so there's no rush, right? We do have some savings, but I think it might be better to save a bit more before taking that step. In other words, he wasn't enthusiastic about making it official. He seemed to be finding excuses to keep the status quo. If he could get away with it, he'd prefer to leave things as they are. Without thinking about my feelings, and using laziness as an excuse to avoid our marriage. The moment I realized his intentions, my trust in him plummeted. Aside from not being officially married, I had no other complaints about him. However, I wasn't happy with changing our plan just because of the hassle. When I pressed Ethan on this issue, he admitted he hadn't thought it through and was only considering the convenience.
That makes sense for Chloe to feel anxious. But I'd like you to wait a bit longer. The company is understaffed, and it's tough to take time off for paperwork right now.
Thus, our conversation about officially getting married was left unresolved. I don't have any major complaints about his personality, but his tendency to postpone dealing with issues is undeniable. While he isn't against the idea of marriage, I'm left with a lingering feeling of unease. This feeling accompanied me to Ethan's company barbecue. The event welcomed family participation, and it was well attended. I was invited and took the day off to be there. As a manager, Ethan was busy greeting everyone. I enjoyed my conversations with the other wives, finding solace in our shared experiences during this brief holiday.
Wow, you're the one who writes songs for the famous Madison Williams? No way! I'm a huge fan of hers. I've been following her since her debut and have been inspired by your songs so many times.
It was heartening to meet so many fans of Madison's age group, and receiving compliments on my work in Madison's performances was a highlight of the day. Then, suddenly, a woman I didn't recognize joined our group and addressed me. "Nice to meet you. Are you Ethan's partner?" She introduced herself as Isabella Green. She is the CEO's daughter from Ethan's company. I was familiar with her name, but only because Ethan had mentioned her. We had never met before. I wondered how she knew to approach me. "Nice to meet you." "Yes, I'm Chloe." It would have been impolite to question her knowledge of me directly. I quickly adjusted my demeanor and greeted her, after which she smiled knowingly. "Ethan has always been so helpful, and I wanted to make sure to greet his wife too. Sorry for interrupting your conversation." Why is that, I wonder? I don't know much about Isabella upon our first meeting, but I sensed some scheming vibe from her. Beneath her friendly smile, it seems like there's a swirling mess, and I even felt a chill. "So, you're his partner, right? Not planning on making it official?" Isabella's abrupt question had everyone widening their eyes in surprise. Everyone must have been curious but chose to respect our privacy, yet she blatantly treaded into personal territory without any hesitation. I found her approach distasteful, and my smile faded from my face. "Right now, we're both busy with work, just waiting for the right moment to make it official. But being a common-law wife isn't much different from being a married one, so it's okay." Really? Does he find it bothersome to deal with that? It'd be more reassuring for the wife to have it official sooner, you know? Isabella bluntly voiced the worries and complaints I had about Ethan. The more I listened to her, the more filled with discomfort I became. Why do I have to be subjected to such indelicate remarks from a stranger? Pointing out such a delicate issue upon our first meeting, what kind of person does that? Filled with anger, dissatisfaction, and anxiety, I looked down. Noticing my discomfort, the others around offered to go get drinks, trying to give me some space. Isabella expressed her dissatisfaction with, but I still wanted to talk, but the group intervened, preventing further interaction. Thankfully, I didn't have to deal with her for the rest of the event. Why did Isabella approach me that day? I would later come to understand that. After that, things were peaceful. Work went smoothly without any hitches. I thought nothing else would go wrong. That was until a certain incident occurred.
"Isn't this person overly obsessed with Chloe?"
Madison and I had started a blog to promote our activities. Though I'm usually behind the scenes, many fans requested my presence, so I made appearances on the blog alongside Madison. While the majority supported us, there were a few who disliked my participation. One such person used the account name Ethan. "It stands out because it's the same name as Ethan, right? Don't just laugh it off. We've talked to the administration about this, but they keep making new accounts to harass us. It's getting too persistent. Maybe we should get a lawyer and request a disclosure." Other fans are getting worried too. "Yeah, I'll think about it." I responded hesitantly to Madison's suggestion. My reluctance stemmed from the troubling emails I'd been receiving on my personal account. "You're an eyesore. How long do you plan on pretending to be popular? You're nothing but an ugly nobody who can't do anything alone. You'd better leave the industry, your partner would be happier too. You think about disclosure? If you make a move, we'll expose your weaknesses to the world, so think carefully before you act. The account Madison mentioned had been contacting me even before my blog appearances. If I told Madison, she'd surely take immediate action. However, I couldn't shake off the suspicion. Someone sharing my husband's name was harassing me. It seemed too coincidental. This harassment had been going on for over 6 months. Suddenly, Ethan brought up the topic of our marriage.
Hey, Chloe. Shouldn't we make it official soon?
I was taken aback by the sudden suggestion. As I let out a scream of surprise, Ethan laughed as if he found it amusing.
Are you really that surprised? I've been saying for a while that once we have enough money saved up and work settles down, we should talk about our marriage. But why so suddenly?
Sudden?
It's been almost a year since we talked about it. It's not sudden at all, in fact, it's rather late, don't you think?
Indeed, that was true, but he had been the one dragging his feet all this time. So why the sudden change of heart? It was only natural for me to be suspicious.
Everyone's busy in December, so I was thinking maybe we could have the wedding in November. What do you think, Chloe? Can you manage your work schedule? I guess I can.
Then it's settled. Let's go check out some venues next time. We should visit your parents soon. My mind couldn't keep up with the sudden development. I still harbored some doubts about him. Despite my various anxieties, I was happy about the prospect of getting married. It was something I had been waiting for years. However, I didn't like the lingering feeling of unease, so I decided to devise a plan. After a while, wedding preparations went smoothly. The day before the wedding, our families gathered, including Madison. Is it really okay for me to be here? It's just a family gathering, and here I am. What are you talking about? Madison is practically our daughter, right? Exactly. Chloe's ability to make a living doing what she loves is all thanks to you, Madison. Let's celebrate together. I wanted to catch up with you anyway. My parents were quite boisterous. Especially my father, who had the boldness you might ask if he was a pirate captain, strong with alcohol. A big eater and a good drinker, his manliness captured my mother's heart, and she managed to win him over. My mother was a strong-willed woman herself. There was a time when a burglar tried to enter our house but was caught by my mother and promptly dealt with. She even managed to beat the burglar down with a stick. Hearing about it, I couldn't help but feel terrified of my own parents. They adored Madison, treating her like their real daughter. Today, Ethan's family was also attending, and they planned to introduce Madison to them, dragging her around. Chloe's parents are as lively as ever. Ethan, not a fan of energetic people, seemed unable to handle my parents. Hiding behind me, he watched Madison being dragged around with a forced smile. Conversely, my in-laws seemed to have a good impression of my parents, happily drinking away as they greeted Madison. Despite my in-laws being bright and cheerful people, I wondered why their son was so timid. Feeling puzzled, I resigned myself to looking after Ethan. As the night wore on and everyone began to disperse. My parents, Ethan's parents, and Madison were all staying at our house, so I led everyone to the guest rooms. After getting ready for bed, I was asleep in my bedroom when I heard some noise inside the house. The noise seemed to be coming from the entrance area. Awakened by the sound, I curiously made my way to the entrance, feeling a bit scared. There, I encountered Ethan trying to sneak out.
What are you doing? It's the middle of the night.
Oh. Just heading to the store. Got a bit hungry.
Why don't you eat some of the gifts we have in the fridge?
But, I really want this new ice cream. I'll be right back, Chloe, you go back to sleep. Ignoring my words, Ethan quickly left the house as if fleeing from something. Feeling suspicious about his behavior, I sent a message to Madison, who was in the guest room. Something's off with Ethan. I want to check it out. Come with me. Immediately after sending the message, Madison appeared from the guest room. After explaining the situation, she agreed with me, so we quickly put on our coats and followed him.
It's crazy to walk to a store in the middle of the night.
Yet, there he goes, walking to the store.
If what we've found out is correct, he should be doing something soon.
Just as I said that, Ethan, walking ahead, started acting suspiciously. He looked around, checking to see if anyone was following him. Madison and I quickly hid behind something, holding our breath. Convinced he was alone, he disappeared into a public restroom in the park. We hurried after him, and soon we could hear Ethan talking to a woman inside.
Let's go around to the back of the toilet and listen in.
Urged by Madison, we moved to the back and were shocked by what we encountered.
Hey, wait. You don't have to rush, I won't run away. But we have to hurry, or Chloe will get suspicious. She is so clueless, she didn't suspect a thing even when I approached her at the barbecue.
Ethan was having a secret meeting with Isabella. Peeking through the small window of the communal toilet, we saw Ethan and her entangled. Isabella's sweet moans and Ethan's primal pursuit filled the air. The situation made Madison and me pale with horror.
I can't believe this!
Realizing the truth, Madison shook with anger, and I, determined, took out my phone. The toilet's window was slightly ajar for ventilation, making it easy to film them without being noticed. Unaware they were being recorded, they continued their intimate encounter, consumed by their desires. Feeling nauseous but determined, I kept filming until their affair ended, then Madison and I hurried back home. We started preparing for a plan, working through the night. And on the morning of the wedding day, my parents, showing no signs of a hangover despite the heavy drinking, accompanied me to the venue. There, of course, were Ethan's company's president and Isabella. I had invited them on purpose, having asked them to speak to me at the barbecue. Isabella's words yesterday about me being too naive to notice anything probably included today's invitation as well. They can think of me as foolish for now, because I'm about to show them hell. With that in mind, it was finally time to make our entrance. Ethan was smiling happily next to me, but I kept up a forced smile to get through the moment. However, as soon as the entrance music played, Ethan's smile disappeared, and he turned pale.
What is this?
The song that was supposed to play during our entrance was replaced with the disgraceful conversation between Ethan and Isabella from the night before, exposing their ugly voices to everyone in the venue. Unable to comprehend what was happening, Ethan panicked. Isabella was also flustered, and the CEO glared at them with a stern look.
Hey, someone stop this! What the hell is this? There's no need to stop it. This is just showcasing the evidence of your and her secret meeting last night.
Taking the microphone from the host, I began to expose everything to the guests who had gathered.
I apologize for having to show you when you all took the time to be here today. I, Chloe Brown, will not get married to Ethan Jones.
The sudden announcement caused a stir in the venue. While the guests were still confused, Ethan and Isabella's shameful audio continued to play as background music.
Explain yourself. What is this all about? Stop this audio. Do you think this is acceptable?
Under the CEO's glaring, Isabella, panicked, revealed her true colors, her eyes bloodshot as she advanced toward me. Madison stood in front of me, blocking Isabella with a provocative smile.
Why are you so flustered? Maybe because you're the voice in this audio. What?
Isabella was shocked as if she couldn't understand why Madison knew that. She had no connection with Madison and shouldn't have known her. Yet, why? Isabella seemed to ask, with Madison sporting a wicked grin. Then, Madison gestured for everyone to pay attention to the screen behind me.
I'm sure you're all curious about who the voices belong to. Today, we have a special performance to show you.
Please, watch carefully. At Madison's signal, the venue staff started playing a video on the screen. It was footage capturing the entirety of the previous night, leaving the guests speechless. Ethan's parents covered their mouths with both hands, their faces turning pale. The CEO watched silently, and my parents did the same.
Stop! Please stop this! What is this? Explain yourself. It's you who should be explaining.
Despite their affair being exposed, Isabella still tried to maintain a bold front, eliciting shouts from me. At the sound of my voice, Isabella jumped as if startled. Ignoring both her and the confused Ethan, I began to explain everything from the beginning to everyone present.
I'll explain what's happening in order. The woman here, Isabella Green, is the daughter of the CEO of Ethan's workplace. She and Ethan have been having an affair, and this video was taken last night, showing their secret meeting.
Ethan and Isabella were shocked to find their actions had been discovered. The guests were horrified by my story, looking at the two as if they couldn't believe what was happening.
Their relationship has been going on for nearly 2 years. I've been waiting for Ethan to get married, and suddenly, 6 months ago, he brought up the topic. Actually, at that time, Chloe was receiving terrible harassment on her blog. The account name was Ethan. Madison and I thought he was behind the harassment.
But it turned out to be someone else. I hired a detective and contacted a lawyer to investigate everything from the account to Ethan's actions. And we discovered a shocking truth.
It wasn't Ethan, but someone else. This person was sending harassing messages in a very masculine manner, trying to drive a wedge between Ethan and me. When we had the detective investigate, we found out it was Isabella Green here who was using his name to harass me.
What? Isabella's face filled with panic as everything was revealed. Ethan, too, seemed unaware of these confessions and was at a loss for words in surprise.
By the way, we have evidence. Additionally, we discovered a diary-like document on this account's related social media.
The screen displayed documents gathered by the detective, ranging from the diary involving Ethan to the defamation against me. And information obtained through a disclosure request. There was no escaping the truth. Completely cornered, Isabella's face turned pale, and she lost all her previous bravado.
I've been receiving harassing emails from this account daily. Just before these emails started arriving, I had attended Ethan's workplace barbecue. There, she approached me publicly, asking intrusively why we weren't married, embarrassing me.
Recalling the anger from that time, I glared at the two with a stern expression.
And then, when I found this blog, I realized her approaching me that day in front of everyone was intentional.
The blog detailed the day she approached me. She was expressing her jealousy and admitting to intentionally contacting me for harassment. It outlined her deliberate actions to drive Ethan and me to divorce. The guests looked at the two with contempt. Ethan's mother broke down in tears from the shame. And his father hung his head in anger, clenching his fists.
This is why I'm canceling our wedding here. This is like an invasion of privacy. What you're doing is a crime. It's horrible. Why didn't you talk about this before making it such a public spectacle? There was no need to discuss this in front of everyone.
Their illogical counter-arguments were met with disbelief, not just from the guests but also from Madison. My anger erupted, and I lashed out at them with harsh words.
Why are you acting like a victim? Do you even understand what you've done? Well, that's... How dare you propose marriage after all this filthy behavior? Just seeing your face now disgusts me. Can you even understand how wearing this dress feels tainted to me?
Who could have imagined that wearing my dream wedding dress would be for such a purpose? The pain this caused is something Ethan will never understand.
Every time I see this dress, I'll be reminded of today. I'll have to live with the betrayal you've caused me for the rest of my life. Can you grasp the magnitude of that pain?
It was the first time I ever yelled at Ethan. He couldn't say anything back, understanding it was a first for me, and stumbled over his words. Then, turning my gaze to the CEO, I left them with a warning.
Don't think this is over. What? Why did you plan a wedding with someone you had no intention of marrying? Can you answer that?
Stunned by my meaningful question, both Ethan and Isabella were speechless. I delivered the final blow to them, leaving no room for doubt about the gravity of their actions.
To socially corner you too.
As soon as I said that, the president, who had been silently listening, stood up and walked onto the stage.
Excuse my sudden appearance. I am the father of Isabella Green standing there, and the CEO of the company Ethan works for. In fact, I had been informed about this situation by the wife beforehand. Dad?
Isabella, hearing the truth for the first time, expressed her shock. The CEO then scolded her with a tone close to a shout.
To think you would act this way in this situation, you have not only disgraced me but also dared to confront Chloe with such insolence. You disgrace! I've decided to give you a punishment fit for your actions.
The moment the president spoke, the entrance to the venue opened, and a man walked in.
Let me introduce him. This is Isabella's husband, a member of our company. What? She was married? Unbelievable!
It turns out Isabella was married, and investigations revealed she also had 2 children. Her husband looked at Isabella with emotionless eyes, and the CEO gave her a cold, disdainful glare.
Today, Ethan will be dismissed from our company, and my daughter will face severe punishment. We do not need individuals who tarnish the reputation of our company. No way!
The 2 were visibly shocked by the sudden declaration. Ethan was flustered, and Isabella, trembling, clung to the CEO.
Wait, please! I'm sorry, please forgive me. I'll cut ties with Ethan, and I'll never do anything like this again. So please!
Isabella, now disgracefully crying and clinging to him, begged for mercy. Ethan also desperately pleaded for forgiveness, beside her, but the CEO showed no sympathy for them. Instead, he yelled,
Apologizing to me does nothing. Don't you know who you should be apologizing to? I don't care about such scum. Figure out what you should do yourselves. So that's it.
Ethan was at a loss for words under the president's scathing words. In contrast to Ethan's despair, Isabella, fearful of losing her status, desperately pleaded with Isabella's husband. However, he ignored her. With no options left, Isabella glared at me, her frustration and bitterness evident.
Please, I beg you, forgive me. I won't have anything to do with Ethan anymore. I apologize for everything up until now. So please, persuade my father.
What are you talking about?
What?
In response to her desperate apologies, I replied without changing my expression in the slightest. Isabella, expecting forgiveness for her apology, was taken aback by my indifferent response. She timidly looked up, trying to gauge my reaction.
After all you've done, you think you can be forgiven? I plan to cut ties with Ethan, and whatever you 2 do is up to you. Don't think about relying on your family. I invited them here today to make this clear to everyone.
Isabella would escape the consequences of her actions with their support. The reason for publicly humiliating her and Ethan in front of Ethan's parents. It was to ensure that no one would attempt to take her or Ethan's side.
From now on, you 2 will see what a living hell is like. It's only fair to face the consequences of your actions, right? So be prepared. I'm not going to let this end here.
This is how I successfully executed my revenge on them. Of course, the wedding was cancelled, and I also demanded the expenses from them. The guests who came to the wedding venue spread the word online, and soon, the identities of the 2 were exposed, attracting ridicule from the public. Isabella, driven into a corner as if the whole world was against her, was mentally pushed to the brink and is now living a life of hospital visits. Ethan was fired from his job and is currently living a day-to-day life. Isabella was kicked out of her house and, despite her attempts to seek refuge with Ethan, he neglected her due to his own debt problems, leaving Isabella lost and wandering the streets. Rumors say she's trying to ingratiate herself with the homeless, leading a bottom-of-the-barrel existence. Seeing the 2 taste a literal hellish life brought great joy to Madison and me. The person who harassed my blog being revealed as Isabella became public knowledge, and she was chased even by my fans. Completely abandoned by those she was involved with, she lost her place in the world. Madison and I have since reclaimed our peaceful lives. Our work is thriving, and our blog is extremely popular. We even launched a fashion brand together, becoming celebrities overnight. And we hailed as the ultimate golden duo.
Should our next song be about a cheating ex-loser? Maybe something that would appeal to teenagers to 20-somethings?
Exactly.
We can't miss out on this adversity. I bet even people who aren't fans will take notice if they know Chloe wrote and composed it.
Inspired by Madison's energy to turn even this situation into our power, I started writing and composing as she suggested. The song was a huge hit. It even got a French version, gaining international popularity.
We won't lose to such people, let's continue being strong women.
With her reassuring smile, my heart found solace.